Mais tout le monde, même De Gaulle. 49 came out?
Need to get that signed.
Yes, and if
I came here in support of the victim, hoping that Cy Vance would do the right thing and move forward on the charges of sexual assault. But unfortunately, he didn't do that. He sided with the rich and powerful. Today, money and power has overruled justice.
So why are you here?
Yeah, I'm here in protest against the injustice that has occurred once again. Only in the history in this country, only one white man has been ever convicted for raping a black woman. And after the case, to chase the lawyer out of town, he had to run for his life. And now we are confronted once again with the same situation where money and privilege stands above justice, okay? I don't care if this woman lied 1,000,000 times. That doesn't mean that she's lying now. The district attorney is in violation of their own laws. The district attorney does not have the right to dismiss this case. There are only two criteria where a district attorney has the legal authority to dismiss the case, and this case does not meet that criteria. This case should be left up to the jury to decide and judge whether or not the woman is telling the truth. There's plenty of evidence that indicate, physical evidence that indicate that the woman is telling the truth because it is consistent with that of a rape victim. And she's being victimized by the same system that swears to represent people like herself. It's an injustice, and it should not be happening. Not just the black women, but women in general. It should not be happening.
I'm going up here to rally at the
and yet they're dismissing their own case because race and gender and class plays a role in all of this, and they're using those factors as a rationale to drop the case. There's more than enough evidence, because the bottom line in any case is evidence. There's more than enough evidence to get a conviction, and they are afraid that if this thing goes before a jury, he'll be found guilty. They made a mistake by letting it get to the grand jury. The grand jury saw that the evidence was credible. They're saying now that the only evidence they have is that it was harried sex. Now, to all the women or men that have had harried sex in their life, how many of us came out of harried sex with a torn rotor cuff in our shoulder? How many of us had injuries to the vaginal area? How many of us tore our clothes in the process? That's not harried sex. That's a rape case. This is a classic rape case.
What about the question of her credibility? I mean, she has lied about rape in the past.
Okay, here's what. The fact of the matter is, the misstatements that was made on her asylum papers in the past. Does that mean that now that anything that happens to her, you're gonna go back to those asylum papers again? We are concerned about what happened in the hotel room. They fully know that every day they use confidential informants that are criminals, that are killers, that are drug dealers, that are crooks. They use them every day to get bigger crooks, bigger drug dealers, and bigger killers. They use confidential informants every day in the district attorney's office. There is no issue about credibility. Whatever happened on her asylum papers for her to get in the country has nothing to do with what happened on May 14th in that hotel room.
And just lastly, what are you planning to do to counteract this?
We're going to reach out. We've already sent a letter to the governor, 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement. We've sent a letter to the governor. We've sent a letter to the Attorney General's office. Now we're going to reach out to every black elected official in this town to tell Governor Cuomo to appoint a special prosecutor. He has seen the smear campaign orchestrated by Cyrus Vance. He should not be sitting on the sideline. We know full well that if he's not forced to do it, he will not do it because he's not going to act at the behest of an African immigrant when he's looking at the White House in 4 to 8 years from now. So he's not going to do that on his own. He's going to have to be forced into doing it. And that's our mission, to force him to do what he does not want to do, which is to appoint a special prosecutor. He can appoint a special prosecutor, then he can wash his hands on the whole deal. He does not have to be involved in a case other than appoint a special prosecutor, let the victim, Ms. Diallo, have her day in court, and let the chips fall where they may.
Do you have contact with Ms. Diallo? How is she feeling right now with all of this?
She's disgusted. We spoke to her yesterday. She's disgusted by this chain of events. It was not a major surprise because the smear campaign all came out of the district attorney's office. All of these grand jury things that happened in the grand jury minutes were all coming out of the district attorney's office, and it was fed to the New York Times. They need to find out who was feeding this information to the New York Times, and that person needs to be arrested. So Cyrus Vance should either arrest himself or arrest someone in his office, because somebody needs to be arrested.
And then lastly, about the civil case. How do you think this is going to affect the civil case?
I'm not concerned about the civil case right now. I'm concerned about justice. Ken Thompson and them are concerned about some economic recompense, and that's good because the victim, don't get me wrong, the victim deserves economic recompense. However, the black community demands justice.
Yes, sir.
We're sick and tired of over 200 years in America, and there's only been one conviction for a white man raping a black woman. We have to stop that. 234 years, it's been too long. We need justice. The time for just a civil suit, them days are over. We off the plantation. It's time for us to determine our own destiny, chart our own course. The stakes now too high just to allow economic recompense. We want justice. We want to see Dominique Strauss-Kahn in jail.
Now.
Nothing short of that will do.
Now.
Do you think this was a case of class?
Yes.
Class plays a major role. You can't ignore the fact that he's a millionaire married to a billionaire. You can't ignore the fact that was the former director of the IMF. They could prop a country up or they can destroy a country. They have that kind of power. He had that kind of power. He is from a nation that colonized Guinea, her native country. So class plays a part. Race plays a part. She's African and he's a privileged white Frenchman. So all of that plays a role. And gender plays a role because white men stick together. Cy Vance is a white man, he's a white man. Morgenthau's a white man, they all are white men, and they all roll together, and a woman has to always explain what she had on, did she lead the man on, was she drinking, was he drinking, how far did she go along with it, did she go along from first base all the way to third base, and did she try to stop him from hitting the home run? Those questions should not be asked to a woman. They wouldn't ask a man those kind of questions, so they should not ask a woman those kind of questions. At what point did the consensual stuff stop and now everything was forced entry after that? A woman should not have to answer those questions. The worst thing other than killing a woman you could do to a woman is to rape. And now she's been raped twice. Once by Dominic Strauss-Kahn, now she's been raped by Cy Vance. Yes, sir.